Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Season 7, Episode 30, overall 360 of Live with CDP Sports Talk, which is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, the home of Southern Talk and Sports. I hope everyone's doing well on this Friday, January 26, 2024. It's championship weekend in the National Football League. As you can see, I'm excited, even though the Eagles are out. We've got a couple of games on Sunday. Baltimore, Kansas City at 3 o'clock. Kansas City at Baltimore at 3 o'clock for the first time in 1971 since Baltimore's hosted a championship game, and also 6:30 Detroit and San Francisco. And I'm looking forward to my guest today. This is his third appearance, and he is a friend of mine, and he's the host of the Locked on Lions podcast. His name is Matt Dery, and we're going to bring him on, and we're going to talk some Detroit Lions. Good morning, Matt. How you doing?
What's up, Chris? Good to see you, my brother. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been about a year and a half, and the last time we talked, the Lions were kind of a work in progress, and now look at them. One more win away from the Super Bowl. Hard to believe.
Can you believe this, Chris? It's I don't think fans here in Detroit really know how to act or respond. I mean, this is crazy, and everybody's so excited. I was at the gym this morning. All the trainers were all decked out in Lions gear, and it's the city. They've taken the city by storm, and this is what NFL football is, as you know. It's the king. It gets everybody so riled up, fired up. It's the best sport there is. And for an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, man, what a job this front office and the coaching staff have done, and the players to get to this point. And now let's see how they do out in San Francisco.
Exciting times in the state of Michigan for football, with the Michigan Wolverines winning a national championship. And now this franchise is in the NFC championship game for the first time since 91 against the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, Chris, I mean, you're right. Not everybody is a Michigan fan, although Michigan is very popular here in Detroit, and many of their fans didn't even go to school there, a good majority of them. But that's another story for another day. But
okay.
The Lions, it's just, they own this town. And I was here for 0-16. I was here for 3-13-1. I've seen the Quinn Tricia era with Bob and Matt, who were an absolute disaster. And now to see this turnaround 3 years in like this, it's remarkable. And they deserve it. This fan base deserves it. And to get a home playoff game, which is what they wanted, to play the Rams, to beat Stafford, was unbelievable. And then to get a second one because of the Dallas loss, and to get Tampa Bay in here and, kind of survive that game is even more remarkable. And now look, Lions have said they wanted to build this thing to be able to play with the big boys. Well, the big boys is this weekend. I mean, San Francisco did not play well last Saturday, but they're the number one seed in the NFC. They've been to the NFC championship game 2 years in a row. This will be 4 in the last 5 years. And so this is where you measure up and see how you do.
Detroit's a great sports town. So honestly, Matt, and all the time you've been there, you feel that when the Lions are winning, that it's their town, like even over the Red Wings and the Tigers and the Pistons are another story.
Oh yeah, no, Chris. Look, we had the hockey town run here, as you know, and your knowledge of hockey is as good as anybody's. And then the Tiger run with the Jim Leland teams, and certainly the Pistons have had 2 really good runs with the Bad Boys, and then the Going to Work team which culminated in an 04 championship, but 6 straight conference championships. And yes, Detroit's a great sports town. I think it's as good a sports town as there is. But at the end of the day, what rallies the people the most, what gets people the most fired up, there are people that are not hockey fans. There's people that don't like basketball. There's people that think baseball is too boring and slow, but everybody loves the Lions and everybody follows the Lions. And even the people that say, I'm Lions free, or I'm not going to be back until this ownership sells, and the Ford family and all these things, you got to set that aside right now, because people love this group, this Lions team, because not only are they good, they're likable. Their coach, Dan Campbell, played for the Lions. He's a Detroiter. He feels like a Lions coach and a Detroit person. The general manager, Brad Holmes, an African-American GM. There's not a lot of them in the league. Obviously, the city embraces him. The ownership group under Sheila Hamp now, I mean, that was Mr. Ford's daughter. So, she's been through it and has seen it. So, and they're just a likable team. Aiden Hutchinson's a local kid who's really, really good. Jared Goff now has been beloved. I mean, they were chanting Jared Goff's name at the Red Wing game last night. So it's a likable team and it's a good team. And now, why can't they go into San Francisco and win? I think they can.
Wanted to ask you, when Sheila Ford took over the team, were people skeptical of her, and what was one of the first moves that she did bring in? I know she brought in Chris Spillman, but I just wanted to ask you, when exactly did you feel this franchise started going in the right direction?
Well, I mean, let's start with Sheila. I mean, I think that the fans were a little bit turned off that her and Rod Wood had kept Patricia that third year. They were like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? But I think she really needed a year to learn and really see what was going on. And then luckily they pulled the plug after that and fired Bob Quinn, the general manager. When did I think this all turned around? I'm probably going to say last year, week 18 in Green Bay. The Lions were playing basically for nothing. They'd been eliminated from the playoffs because Seattle had won. And yet here they are going into Green Bay, and they made a statement. They beat the Packers. They forced Green Bay out of the playoffs with the win. The Lions didn't get to go, but they played spoiler, and they played so hard and so physical in Lambeau Field. I mean, the Lions never won a big game there, ever. And to go in there and win, and to win a game like that on Sunday Night Football on NBC, Tirico, Collinsworth, the whole thing, that's when you kind of knew, oh man, going into next year, they're going to be the favorites to win this division, especially if Rodgers leaves Green Bay, which of course he did. So I think the culmination of this thing, and really the knowing that there might be something special coming, was probably last season, the last game.
Now, when Jared Goff was brought to Detroit, everybody was like, the Rams won this trade with Stafford, but how much has the coaching staff and getting the right system meant for Jared Goff being this franchise quarterback now for the Lions going forward?
Oh, it's been huge. I mean, I think this is a total team effort. You talk about Dan Campbell, Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator, Mark Brunell, the quarterback's coach, Goff himself, all the assistants that really help out, Antoine Randall with the receiver, Scotty Montgomery with the running backs, Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach, and Steve Hyde, the tight ends coach. They all work very well together, and they work with the quarterback. And Jared Goff is really good, and he's playing great football right now. He hasn't turned it over in the playoffs. But people think, oh, Jared Goff's going outdoors this week, San Francisco. He's won 2 games at Levi Stadium. He's done it. So I just think he's gotten better, and I think a lot of it is the coaching. But he's also a really talented guy. I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick years ago. It's not like this guy was a 4th or 5th round pick that they had to develop. And he's got a chip on his shoulder. He was, like you said, shipped out of LA, and not very nicely by Sean McVay, who's admitted that. And now in Detroit, he's kind of relishing this underdog role and playing really good football.
City's really taken to Jared Goff. And the last time these two franchises played was in the regular season, I believe September 12th, 2021. And it was a high-scoring game, 41-33. Do you see this game being high-scoring Sunday at Levi Stadium in San Francisco?
Not like that. I don't think it's, I mean, I think there's a chance for there to be a lot of points. Yes, I think the Lions can move the football. I think we know the Niners can. I mean, the Niners really struggled last week offensively with the consistency in the rain against Green Bay, but yet when they needed a drive, they got it. We know about the Lions defense. They bend a lot. They haven't broken too badly so far in the playoffs. But with Deebo Samuel, if he's healthy, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, there's some good weapons there for the Niners. And it's not going to be an easy task for the Lions to stop all of them. But the Lions offense is really good. You know, Ben Johnson is so creative. I think he's going to get the Commander's job. Goff and St. Brown and the running backs. There's a lot of weaponry in this game. So, yeah, I could see a high-scoring game, but I'm not so sure about 41-33.
From what I've seen in San Francisco, from the games I've seen this year, they have a good front four. They have good linebackers and secondary. I do find the Niners do have one weakness on their defensive side, and you can run the ball against them. And I think the Lions are going to be able to get at least 100, 150 yards rushing in this game.
Yeah, we saw, Chris, on Saturday, the ease with which Aaron Jones moved around in that San Francisco secondary running the football. I thought the Packers offensive line really pushed the Niners around. I was surprised at how well they were able to run the football. And we know this, Dan Campbell always wants to run it. You got David Montgomery, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, heck, Craig Reynolds, who's really good as your third back. So if the Lions feel like, hey, we're going to pound it and keep the Niners off the field, run some clock, utilize Ragnow and Sewell, who are all pro players on that offensive line. Yeah, I mean, they can establish the run, quiet that crowd down, get some first downs, and really manhandle the Niners up front. They'll be in good shape.
Overall, how's the health of the Lions going into this game? And do you feel their offensive line can match up well with that front four of San Francisco's?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a big loss is Jonah Jackson, the left guard, being out with that meniscus injury. Not sure if he'll even be back for the Super Bowl if they get there. Can't believe I just said Lions and Super Bowl, Chris. Brock Wright, the backup tight end, who has had some big moments. He's going to miss this game. But I think all in all, the Lions are pretty healthy, which is good. We'll see about Khalif Raymond, the wide receiver, if he's going to be able to come back. He's more of a bit player. But I think the guys that, you need to keep an eye on certainly are Frank Ragnow, who kind of sprained his knee and ankle in that game the other day. Make sure he's 100%. And certainly, Jamison Williams has had some injuries the last few weeks, but I think he's okay. But all in all, no, I think the health of the Lions is good. The biggest health issue is going to be Deebo Samuel with the shoulder and whether or not he'll go or not. I mean, word is now at the time of this recording that it's 50-50. I think he'll probably try to give it a go, but one hard tackle he lands on that shoulder, that could be the end for him.
Absolutely. And you got a couple of former Eagles on your team too. I just wanted you to bring up CJ Gardner-Johnson, who we missed in Philly this year. And recently you just signed Super Bowl champion and former All Pro tight end Zach Ertz, who was released by the Cardinals. I think Zach Ertz is a nice little insurance pickup.
He is. James Mitchell's out, the second string, one of the backup tight ends. He and Brock Wright kind of second, third string tight ends, but they play a lot. So now you're basically down to Sam Laporta, who's not 100%, and Anthony Ferkser, who's more of a practice squad player, who really got the most snaps he's ever gotten as a Lion last week. So they felt like going out and getting Zach Ertz, who's still only 33, still has some tread on the tires, was injured in Arizona in November, asked to be released, and just kind of had an injury settlement, worked back his way into shape, and could be a guy, you're right, in a big spot, can make a play. Very well from the Philly days. Gardner Johnson's he's a character, constantly on social media talking trash. He and Deebo Samuel have a little bit of a feud, but don't misunderstand. CJ Gardner Johnson's a huge part of this defense because the secondary can be weak at times. And if they need him on a big play to move down from safety to cover somebody as a cornerback, he's got experience. He has Super Bowl experience. He's a ball hawk. He'll be important this week.
I was going to ask you, can you guys take Matt Patricia back? By the way, he's not going to be back in Philly next year. They cleaned house with their defense.
I thought of you, Chris, a lot this year because I know what the Eagles mean to you, and what a disaster this year was. I'm not rubbing it in, bro, but that was brutal. And
it was a meltdown. I call it a meltdown.
I've never seen. They're a really good football team, and they've been built right by Howie Roseman. And I have no idea what that was. That was crazy to me that they just folded like that. And hopefully they get it back. But yeah, they're going to have 2 new coordinators next year. That's probably a good thing. And there's a lot of good veteran leadership there, like Brandon Graham and those guys. And I'm so stunned. Jason Kelsey, I'm so surprised that they melted down like that.
Well, Nick Sirianni is going to get another year, but if they don't make the playoffs or rebound next year, then I think he's going to be on a short leash. But hey,
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to the Lions, Matt. How much of an impact has the rookie tight end from Iowa, Sam Laporta, had on the Detroit Lions?
Oh, huge. I mean, putting up monster numbers, record-setting numbers for receptions, yards by a rookie tight end. He's been special. I mean, what a second-round pick Brad Holmes made with him. And, they let TJ Hawkinson go last year. I think knowing that there was going to be a really good tight end class in this past draft, which there was, Dalton Kincaid and Mayer and those guys. But Laporte has been the best, and he's a top 5 tight end in the NFL right now as a rookie. That's how good he is. Again, injured his leg in week 18, but I think he's all right. And ready to rock here this week. And he's going to be a guy that I think is going to be, if the Niners decide we're not going to let Amon-Ra St. Brown beat us, we're going to make sure Jameson Williams and Josh Reynolds on the outside are not making plays. Maybe, just maybe, the guy that's going to have a 9, 10, 11 catch game and come up with some big third downs would be number 87. I think that get Laporta, Laporta and Goff have a very good chemistry, and he could be the guy that is the difference maker on third down plays this week.
How did he look against the Buccaneers, in your opinion, coming off that knee injury?
I mean, the Rams game, everybody was stunned he even played. And then because of what happened against Minnesota, and then he was, not definitely hobbled, but had a touchdown catch. He looked much better in the Tampa game, much better. So I think he's okay. I do. I mean, it's not 100%, but how many guys are 100% right now when you get to playing games in late January,
So who are some other Lions that have kind of stepped up their game this year and could have an impact in this game Sunday against the Niners?
I never thought in a million years that Penei Sewell could get any better than he already was, because he was an elite right tackle last year, but he's been even better this year. And I just think the Lions feel very comfortable running behind him. And, Nick Bosa against Sewell is going to be an awesome matchup to watch. He's really stepped up. I love the way Ifeatu Melifonwu was playing. Safety that 8 weeks ago was a backup that wasn't playing. Then all of a sudden sprung into action, played well. And Tracy Walker has been inactive. I mean, he hasn't even been dressed because they are so confident that Melifonwu can do it. Right next to him is Brian Branch, the rookie from Alabama, safety, nickel corner, kind of a hybrid. He stepped up and has been really, really good. Jahmyr Gibbs has been good lately. Down the line, there's just guys that have made plays and stepped up when the big lights are on. These playoff games are when everybody's watching, and good for these kids and these guys that they've gotten better every week.
I really think this game's going to come down to the battle of the lines between the offensive lines and defensive lines. Who wins that war, I think, is going to have the advantage in this game.
I don't disagree. I mean, that's where the Lions kind of butter their bread, is up front. Their D-line isn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but Lee McNeil is back healthy, is a huge plugger in the middle there to stop the run. Aiden Hutchinson has turned into an elite pass rusher. The Lions are a little bit weak on the other side of Hutch. So if the Hutchinson Express gets slowed down a little bit, I'm concerned about the pass rush. I thought the Packers did a great job getting to Purdy last week, but the Lions have made Stafford look very comfortable. Baker Mayfield had his moments this past week, threw for 300 yards. The Lions have got to be better rushing the passer. But yes, Lions O-line is as good as there is in the league. Obviously, your Eagles have a good one. The Browns have a good one. We saw last week with Tampa, theirs was good, and the Rams was good. So, yeah, up front is going to be huge to see. Like I said, I think Lions running the football, they can do it successfully, could kind of set the tone for the rest of the game.
Control the time of possession and keep that San Francisco offense off the field as much as possible.
Yep.
One thing, Matt, I wanted to bring up, I think you guys are going to see a heavy dose of Christian McCaffrey in the backfield and as a receiver as well, especially with Deebo Samuel not being 100%.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if Debo was 100% playing, CMC is going to get his touches. You know that, Chris. I was a little bit concerned last week. I was surprised actually that Rashad White had the kind of game that he did for Tampa, because the Lions' run defense has been really, really good, and White broke off a couple of big runs, and so hopefully the Lions kind of fix that, because this is Christian McCaffrey we're talking about here. He's an MVP finalist, top 5 player in the league. So yeah, if he gets going, that's going to be a long day for the Lions, because then that opens up the passing game. So Lions have done a good job stopping the run for most of the year, but McCaffrey is certainly an elite back.
One thing I forgot to research was this game is on the road. When was the last time the Detroit Lions won a road playoff game? And that's something I should have looked into, because I know they won the championship in 57. The win in 1991 was at the Silverdome, and then their 2 home wins recently. So I have to look that up, when they last won a road playoff game.
You don't have to look it up. You ready for this?
Okay.
1957 at Kezar Stadium in San Francisco, my friend.
Wow. Ironically, that former home of the Niners before Candlestick Park.
Right. I mean, the Lions have not won a road playoff game in 60 plus years. So this would be rather big. And also another good stat for you, dome teams on the road in championship games the last 10 times playing outdoors are 0-10. So that doesn't bear well either for the Lions. we shall see. I think the last dome team to win on the road, I heard this the other day, I think it was Dallas in 93 in San Francisco. So
wow. Do you feel the Lions going from turf to grass will make a little bit of a difference, or no?
No, I do. I mean, I don't think it'll be a big difference, but I think a little bit. Last couple of really big games the Lions played on grass outdoors, in Baltimore, they got destroyed. I mean, the Ravens embarrassed them. And then a few weeks ago in Chicago against the Bears, did not turn out well. The Bears beat them. So the Lions have won on grass. Look, they went into Kansas City, Chris, to open the season on grass.
That's
on
true.
The road and won.
At Arrowhead Stadium, which is a very hard place to win. Yes.
Very tough. So that it's been done. So they've not won ever on grass. I mean, last year too, we saw something with this team, and it was turf, but they won 2 games at MetLife last year. They beat the Jets on the road. They beat the Giants on the road. So they've won some games on the road where people said, the Lions can't win there. They've done it. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but yes, the Lions do play much better, especially at home, or especially on offense at home, on that kind of fast track at Ford Field.
Dan Campbell was mentioning, I think yesterday to the media, that it's not so bad playing a road game, because the first 2 home games were at Ford Field were great, but the players were under a lot of extra pressure with family and friends, and going to San Francisco, they can even focus more on just football instead of the other stuff.
Well, no, I don't disagree with that. There's something about bonding with your teammates and being the underdog and getting on that airplane, flying across the country. Not a lot of distractions, not worrying about tickets, family there. I mean, some family will certainly travel, but the Lions will be in their hotel and focused. And again, 7-point underdogs. There's not a lot of people that think they can do this. Some do. I think they can. But that line has stayed at 7 and sat at 7 the entire week. It hasn't moved at all.
And the weather forecast for the game Sunday in Santa Clara, that could be an impact too.
Yeah, it's supposedly not going to rain, like weather in the 60s, but no rain. I mean, obviously last Saturday night, Purdy had trouble in that rain. I don't know about that. Look, if it rains, the Lions run game, I think would do well. But I think the bottom line is they can't make mistakes. Goff has not thrown an interception in the playoffs, so that's good. And just keep playing mistake-free football. Penalties and turnovers on the road, you're not going to win.
I think the Lions have been clean so far in their 2 games at home with turnovers in that. And I think that's going to be huge against the Niners, because if you turn that ball over and give that Niners offense a short field, that could make a difference in this game.
No question. And the kicking game has been good for the Lions lately. Badgley's been all right. But Jack Fox has been a major weapon for this team. A bunch of punts down inside the 10. He boomed a 60-yarder in that Rams game. He's been a big weapon. So you switch the field around and make the Niners go 90 yards. Watch for Jack Fox. He's been, as we like to call him in Detroit, he has been the punt god so far this year.
Speaking of that, we've already saw a couple of playoff games sort of decided by missed field goals. Carlson missing one in for Green Bay against the Niners, and then Tyler Bass against Kansas City. But to be fair to Bass, Orchard Park, New York, that stadium is high winds, and it's not easy kicking in that stadium. And by the way, the Niners kicker is the all-time leading scorer for the Michigan Wolverines, Jake Moody. So you got a rookie going against a kicker that's got a little more experience. So I think that special teams could play a factor in this game too.
I agree. And, Lion fans were pandering for Jake Money Moody because of his Michigan ties. They wanted him. Can we draft him in the 4th round, 5th round last April? And the Lions didn't draft a kicker. They've gone through their share of kickers over the last 3 years under Brad Holmes. Whether it's been Riley Patterson or Badgley, they've been interchangeable. But Moody's really good, and obviously, but this is a different environment and atmosphere. But he's made some very big kicks in his career, both college and pro, and you got to tip your cap to him. He's pretty darn good.
Hey, Matt, do you have a few more minutes for a few more quick questions?
Yes, sir. Let's take it up to 11, my man.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. I wanted to ask you about the thoughts on the Niners win over the Packers, and who were some San Francisco players that stood out in that game?
Yeah, I love Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker, although when he made that interception, he should have just slid down. He shouldn't have been running around. But Fred Warner and Greenlaw are really good. I mean, the Lions live in the middle of the field with their passing game, and those two guys kind of shut it down. That's going to be a key matchup and something to watch. Purdy bounced back in that Packer game. He had a really bad start, made some big throws at the end. McCaffrey is certainly good. And Trent Williams at left tackle. I mean, my God, the guy just is a house out there. And so I'm thinking for this week, there's no way, I wouldn't think Aiden Hutchinson is going to be lining up anywhere near Trent Williams. I would figure he's going to be over on the right side of the Niners O-line, the Lions left side of their D-line, and trying to rush the passer that way because Williams he's just a wall.
All right. And what are some keys to a Lions win at Levi Stadium on Sunday? And the Niners have lost 3 home games this year there, so it's not like they're unbeatable there.
Well, Chris, I think first and foremost, we're going to see some trick plays. I think Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson are going to empty the tank here. I think we're going to see a fake punt. I think we're going to see a fake field goal, something like that, a double reverse pass, maybe St. Brown's throwing the football or something. The Lions need to do something like that to just show that they've done it all year and to just, they can't just be a vanilla attack against the Niners. I'm not saying gimmick it up every play, but I'm saying something like that I think would be a key in this game. Mentioned before about the middle of the field. Lions have got to make sure they can throw some balls down the field and also to the sideline because of those linebackers. The run game is going to be key. Can they do what Green Bay did last week? And then, like you said, the mistakes and turnovers, young team on the road, first NFC championship game for most of these guys, Sands, Goff, or Gardner Johnson. Will there be some nerves? Will there be a tip pass, a turnover, a mistake? They got to limit those as much as they can.
I think the first quarter is going to be huge because the Niner fans are going to be loud. The Niners are going to be jacked up. And I think if the Lions can stay within don't fall behind double digits, keep it behind less than double digits, that's going to be huge. I just think they need to get off to a good start, and they don't want to get down 10-0, 14-0 to this Niners team that has a good defense at home.
No, I agree. I mean, and I think the Lions they're going to be right there. I do believe that. I think that there's something special and magical about this team right now. They feel like they're really good, and nobody's cocky. Nobody's, mouthing off or saying anything stupid. They're ultra focused and they play together. Their culture is unbelievable. And they have a belief that they can do this. And I think all of the pressure, Chris, is on San Francisco. 3rd straight title game. They've lost the first 2. They lose again. Are we talking about Kyle Shanahan being in trouble? I mean, are we talking about some sort of changes? I mean, their goal was to get to the Super Bowl. That wasn't the Lions' goal. That was the Niners' goal. I think all the pressure's on the home team.
And can I put you on the spot here? How do you see this game playing out?
I said it on my crossover podcast with Brian Peacock from Locked On Niners yesterday. I truly believe, I think the Lions can do this. I have just a weird feeling that this could be a 27-26 Lions win, a late field goal, or they're not to be denied right now. And the Niners really did not impress me Saturday night. San Francisco's really good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, two of the top 5 players up for the MVP are Niners, Purdy and McCaffrey. They got studs all over the place, but I think the Lions can do it. I do. I think they eke and squeak one out and surprise everybody.
All right, last question I wanted to get you on here, Matt, is just quick thoughts on the AFC Championship game between Kansas City and Baltimore, and if the Lions can pull off the win in San Fran, who do you see them playing in Super Bowl 58 possibly?
I think the Chiefs have had a great run here, but I don't think they're as good as Baltimore. And Baltimore's at home. Kansas City showed throughout the year that there were some warts with that team, especially with drop passes, their passing game. If it's not Kelsey, who's stepping up? Who's Mahomes going to throw the ball to? And those Ravens linebackers are so good. Both of them Pro Bowlers. So I think Kelsey can be not eliminated, but I think he can be limited. And so I like Baltimore in that game. I think Lamar Jackson's playing high-end football right now, and I think they win.
I'm going to go with Kansas City because they are still the champs, and until somebody knocks them out. But I think that game's going to be a hell of a game. But Matt, before we wrap this up, when is your next Locked On Lions podcast, and where it's available? And just quick thoughts on Mike Tirico. I thought you did a great job with interviewing him this week.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, that show is on Tuesday, so anybody can go onto YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts and check out Locked On Lions. We'll have another show this afternoon, kind of doing a preview of Sunday, some keys that I think, and just some emotional things that I want to get off my chest. And certainly we'll recap some of the awards that a lot of the Lions, both players and coaches, are up for. So that'll come out probably this afternoon about 2 or 2:30. Great to see you, Chris. Appreciate you always plugging my show. And I see you everywhere, whether it's Twitter or LinkedIn. Keep up the great work, my friend.
Well, thank you. This is something I have a passion for. And I want to wish Dan Miller a happy birthday as well. And I had Dan on my show a couple weeks ago, and
Nice.
he's been their Lions play-by-play voice since 2005. So he's seen a lot of tough times as well. But hey, Matt, even though I'm an Eagles fan, I'm going to be kind of cheering for the Lions on Sunday, and hopefully it'll be a Lions victory. And I'm just so happy for Detroit and all the Lions fans, the loyal fans over the decade. But hey, I want to appreciate you giving us a little bit of time out of your busy schedule to come on here today, Matt. And hopefully we can talk to you again, and maybe possibly a Lions Super Bowl win, a trip to the Super Bowl.
It would be unbelievable. I don't even know what I would say if that happens. But Chris, appreciate you, man. Thanks so much.
No problem, Matt. Have a great afternoon, and we'll check out your next Locked On Lions podcast today.
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Matt. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed Season 7, Episode 30 of Live with CDP Sports Talk with Matt Dery, the host of the Locked On Lions podcast, and he's also a longtime Detroit radio personality, and he's also a Cleveland Guardians fan too, by the way. But I appreciate Matt coming on today and talking a little bit about the Detroit Lions and previewing the game against the San Francisco 49ers, 6:30 on Sunday night on Fox with Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson and Aaron Andrews doing that game as well. Before we wrap up our show, guys, today, I'm going to play a little bit of one of Matt's shows from the Locked On Lions podcast this week, and I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes of his interview with Mike Tirico, the play-by-play announcer for NBC's Sunday Night Football. And just bear with us, and this is courtesy of the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. And again, this is Matt Dery with Mike Tirico from earlier this week, talking Detroit Lions.
All right, this man has been the TV voice of the Lions the last 2 weeks and undefeated calling Lions games going back to last season. As promised, Mike Tirico from NBC, one of the best play-by-play guys there is around, and Mr. Ford Field.
4-0.
4-0.
I didn't even think about that. Green Bay last year. Yeah, so
Yes.
Let's see. So the Lions have played, 17, 19 games this year, right? And then
Correct.
one. So I guess in the last 20, our crew, me and Chris and Melissa, 4-0. So I guess we're welcomed for the Allen Park cornbread. As you would say.
Hey, you Mike, you know the ovens are hot. We've talked about the butter for years, but it's real now. What was the last 2 weeks like for you? And you got to stay home, which was nice, but Man, what an atmosphere to be around. Best you've ever been around, do you think?
All jokes aside, it rivals the 06 through 10 Superdome New Orleans deal. Now, the 06 Superdome, when they reopened the place after Hurricane Katrina and all of that place was nuts from the start in a very similar fashion. And it was just a different energy to it. But I would say sustained through the two games, I don't remember being in a football building like that. It felt like being in a 16,000 seat NBA arena in Portland or the Palace when the Pistons were great. I'll tell you the one it reminded me of, Matt. So the Pistons win the title, and you were such a part of it, right? In 04. Then the next year play the Spurs in the finals. So game 7 of that series back in San Antonio, we do the pregame on ABC at 8:30, and the tip is kind of 9ish when we hand off to the guys calling the game. The Spurs and the Pistons run out at about 8:34. The whole place stayed on their feet and cheered the entire warm-ups. That was the coolest thing I had ever seen until the start of the game with the Rams. And I thought for people who were there, maybe they can feel the same or different about this. I thought the energy in the building before the Rams game was at a higher peak than it was before the kickoff of the last game against the Buccaneers. But I thought the sustained build through the Tampa game was real. I thought the fans were brilliant and how quiet they were when the Lions had the ball and how raucous it was to see opposing players, to see Baker Mayfield after the game. See guys make comments about, wow, that was one of the cooler environments I've played in. I think says a lot about what it was like there. I don't know if it'll ever be like that again because it's not going to be 30 years and brand new feel to it again. But man, it was cool and an experience. As I told a bunch of the folks in the Lions front office, that's an 8 days I'll never forget for sure.
I love it. I also love that you brought up the 05 finals because I was rooting against the Pistons because I just wanted to go home because I was rooming with Stoney at the Best Western and I couldn't take it anymore.
Oh my God. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I understand that, but you know, those were good times. And if you really think about it, you know, I'm going to just go my 25 years of living here in Southeast Michigan. If you really think about it, each team's had.
All right, guys, that clip was courtesy of Locked On Lions on their YouTube channel. And I want to thank Matt Dery, again, the host of the Locked On Lions podcast, for coming on. They are doing another show this afternoon at 2:00. And that was his interview with Mike Tirico from NBC's Sunday Night Football, who did the last couple Lions playoff games at home against the Rams and Buccaneers, and actually did a couple regular season games as well. And the Detroit Lions have won more playoff games in 2023 than they have since 1957. Between 57 and 2023, they only won one playoff game in 1991 in the NFC divisional round against Dallas 38-6 at the Silverdome. And this year they've beaten the Rams 24-23 at Ford Field, and they just defeated the Buccaneers 31-23. So the Detroit Lions are the only NFC team never ever to play in a Super Bowl. So hopefully they can end that streak against a very good San Francisco team. Kyle Shanahan against Dan Campbell. I would have liked the Lions' chances better being at home in front of their fan base at Ford Field. But if any team can upset the Niners at Levi Stadium, I believe it is the Detroit Lions. They do have all the pieces there, and they're well coached by Dan Campbell. They have he's changed the culture in Detroit from a losing culture into a winning culture. So if anyone can get these guys into believing and buying that they can do this, it would be Dan Campbell. But I'm still going to go with the Niners, unfortunately, in this game. My heart is for the Detroit Lions. My brain says the Niners. And I just think the Niners being at home and having that championship experience the last few years and being in 2 Super Bowls the last 10 years, I got to go with the Niners in this game. I think 24-13. I do feel there's going to be a late score by the Niners to make it a little bit of a game, but I think 24-13 San Francisco. I do hope I'm wrong, And I think the Lions are capable of winning this game, but I got to go with the more experienced playoff team. But we'll see what happens. Don't count out the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. That game is 6:30 again on Fox with Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson and Aaron Andrews, their sideline reporter. The earlier game is 3:00. It's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs, the Super Bowl champions, taking on the Baltimore Ravens, the first AFC title game in the city of Baltimore since 1971. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. How do you go against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? They say, oh, the Chiefs can't win on the road with Reid and Mahomes. They did last week at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park. They beat the Bills 27-24. So I've got the Chiefs winning this game, but this is going to be high scoring. I've got the Chiefs winning 34-30 over the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm excited for this game. 3:00 kickoff on CBS with Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and the sideline reporter for CBS, Tracy Wolfson. I think this is going to be a great game as well. So I'm really looking forward to it as well. Guys, just to let you know, I've got 2 shows coming up on Monday, January 29th. At 11 o'clock, I have my guest. Her name is Kella James. She's the Director of Community Engagement and Outreach Program for the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society. So she's going to come on and talk to us a little bit about herself and her career with the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society and some of their upcoming events at the KW Stratford Perth Humane Society, and maybe possibly tell us a little bit about some of the pets that are up for adoption there with rabbits, cats, and dogs as well. So Monday, January 29th, 11 a.m. Eastern, Kella James, a director again of the Community Engagement and Outreach Program for the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society, will be on. And then at 5 o'clock, my second show is at 5 o'clock, Monday, January 29th at 5:30. That's 5:30 Eastern. My guest is going to be Kelsey Nicole Nelson. She was originally scheduled for this week, but she fell ill. She's a TV reporter, a radio host, and media personality out of Washington, D.C. So Kelsey's going to tell us a little bit about her latest going-ons as a media personality and a broadcaster. And we're going to recap the AFC and NFC champion games with Kelsey Nicole Nelson this Monday at 5:30. So 11 o'clock, Kella James from the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society, and 5:30, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, media personality and broadcaster from the Washington, D.C. area. So I'm excited about those 2 shows as well. And again, guys, the AFC Championship game, Kansas City at Baltimore, Sunday, January 28th at 3 p.m., and Detroit, San Francisco at 6:30 p.m. And I'm really looking forward to these games as well. As always, guys, Live with CDP Sports Talk is a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Palme, is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM, The Key, the home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. Our radio station's website, if you'd like to listen to Live with CDP live streamed on the radio station, is WQEEFM.radio12345.com. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram at Chris Palme, and you can watch Live with CDP on Instagram. Thank you to StreamYard.com. You can also check out my website at beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. All my social media sites, all my previous radio and podcast shows are there. And you can check out my digital writing on WordPress.com as well. So again, beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme. Live with CDP Sports Talk, again, is brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com and tell them Chris Palme sent you there as well. And speaking of Barry Cullen Chevrolet right now, Discover the winter event is going on at Barry Cullen Chevrolet with a 2024 Silverado 1500 custom crew cab pickup truck, 139 a week at 5.9% financing for 24 months with $3,749 down payment on an ultra low kilometer lease. More details at barrycollin.com as well. And they have their winter tire sale going on until February 29th. If you purchase a set of four in stock winter tires at Barry Cullen Chevrolet, you can save 13% on winter tires there up until February 29th. So again, check out barrycollin.com and their winter tire sale clearance going on until February 29th. Live with CDP is also on TikTok. I am a TikTok content creator, so follow me there at Live with CDP. That's at Live with CDP on TikTok. You can check out all my content there. I post a lot of my player, coaches interviews, and all my media work there as well, and it's been a great tool. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting such as yours truly, check out StreamYard.com. They have basic plans that are free, or you can get plans up to a professional plan up to $49 US per month. And if you're a business and a company that does a lot of webinars or does a lot of live streaming for work, check out StreamYard.com and contact the sales department for prices for businesses as well. And again, StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. I am also an affiliate with StreamYard. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at cpame19@gmail.com or send me a DM on social media about StreamYard. And I really think they are the #1 live stream provider out there as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and Tuned In. You can also email or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpame19@gmail.com or text the show at 519-820-7188. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated as well. And I want to give a shout out to my friend Sonia Pearson. I was on her show, All Things Football from a Ladies Perspective podcast show this week. So check out her YouTube channel and check her out on social media. She does a really good job, and she is from Atlanta, Georgia, and she really knows her football and sports. So again, I want to say thank you to Sonia Pearson for having me on her show this week as well. And I want to give a shout out also to the local Subway here on Paisley Road in Guelph. They do a great job. I love my Subway, and the staff at the Paisley Road store here in Guelph near theirs, Paisley and Imperial, do a really great job as well. And I want to say thank you to Casey Standuhar from ESPN Plus for coming on my show Monday as well. And check her out on Twitter and social media as well. And that's about it, guys. I'm really excited about the games this weekend. And again, I've got San Francisco winning 24-13. And I have Kansas City 34-30 over Baltimore. Really looking forward to these games. And a Super Bowl this year, Super Bowl 58, is going to be Sunday, February 11th. I believe at 6 o'clock, 6:30 from Las Vegas. And we'll see who plays in Super Bowl 58 very soon. And that's about it. And again, I want to say thank you to Matt Dery from the Locked On Lions podcast. So if you're a National Football League fan or a fan of the Detroit Lions, check out the Locked On Lions podcast with Matt Dery as well. And speaking of some Detroit sports news, the Detroit Red Wings won last night 3-0 over the Flyers at Little Caesars Arena. It was the first Red Wings shutout win over the Flyers since 2016. And the Detroit Pistons this week defeated the Charlotte Hornets at Little Caesars Arena for their 5th win of the season. So it's nice to see them win a couple of ball games, and hopefully they can get Cade Cunningham back as well. And that's about it, guys. I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live streamed. and also on my audio platforms. And I'm looking forward to Mondays again. 2 shows again with Kella James, Director of Community Engagement and Outreach Programs for the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society, and also Kelsey Nicole Nelson at 5:30, and we're going to talk the NFL playoffs and recap both the AFC and the NFC Championship game, and also a little bit of news too, guys. I am now a dog walker volunteer with the Cambridge Humane Society. So please, if you're interested and you're in the Cambridge area, please check out the Cambridge Humane Society social media websites, as they have a lot of wonderful animals down there that are in need of homes. So always adopt and don't shop, and check out the Cambridge Humane Society as well. And I'm hoping to have somebody from that shelter on my show in the future as well. And again, I want to say thank you to WQEE 99.1 FM for having me on their radio station for the past year. And I want to say thank you to Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph, the GM dealership, for sponsoring my show since September of 2022. So that's about it. I hope everybody has a great afternoon, and we'll see you back here for Live with CDP Sports Talk on Monday, January 29th for not one, but 2 shows, 11 o'clock with Kella James from the Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society, and 5:30 p.m. Eastern with Kelsey Nicole Nelson, as well as we talk NFL playoffs. So that's about it. Thank you to Matt Dery, my friend, for coming on my show for a 3rd time. And give me a little bit of time this afternoon, and we'll have this show downloaded to video and audio platforms as well. And it should air on WQEE this Monday, January 29th at 8 o'clock at night. And speaking of that, Live with CDP Sports Talk will air tonight again at 8 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM. That's about it. Have a great afternoon, great evening, everybody, and enjoy the NFL games on Sunday. And we'll see you back here on Monday, January 29th. Thank you again for watching and listening to Live with CDP Sports Talk.